Welcome back to the channel, my fellow General Hospital fanatics. Today is a beautiful, sunny day, and there is absolutely nothing better than diving deep into the murky, dramatic waters of Port Charles with all of you. Grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and let us talk about the absolute storm that is brewing at the Metro Court pool this summer. Let me ask you something right off the bat, guys. When was the last time a Cassadine ever did something just for simple, innocent fun? Think about it carefully. We are hearing a lot of chatter lately about our girl Charlotte Cassadine, played brilliantly by the talented Bluesy Burke, declaring that she plans to spend the vast majority of her summer lounging around the Metro Court pool. Now, on the surface, that sounds like typical teenage behavior, right? Just a high school girl looking to catch some rays, hang out with friends, and sip some expensive mocktails. But my gut, honed by decades of watching the twists and turns of this soap opera, tells me there is a much deeper, far more calculated motive at play here. Charlotte is not just going to the pool to get a tan. She is going there on a highly specific mission. What if the real reason she is suddenly so interested in the deep end is the handsome new guy sitting up in the lifeguard chair? That brings us directly to the newest piece of eye candy in Port Charles, Gio Palmieri. Giovanni Mazza has been doing a truly fantastic job bringing this complex character to life. But we have to ask ourselves a serious question. Is Gio remotely ready for the sheer force of nature that is a teenage Cassadine with a massive crush? The rumor mill is currently spinning completely out of control with whispers that Charlotte is quietly harboring a massive, undeniable infatuation with Gio. And if there is one thing we know about the Cassadine bloodline, it is that they do not just harbor crushes quietly for very long. They obsess, they plot, and they attempt to conquer. Are we about to witness the birth of the next great Port Charles villainess, all because of a summer crush gone horribly wrong? And before we even get into the complicated mechanics of a potential Charlotte and Gio dynamic, we absolutely have to talk about the elephant in the room. Emma Scorpio Drake. Braden Bruner's return to the canvas has been a breath of fresh air for longtime viewers, but what does Charlotte's potential infatuation mean for Emma's summer plans? We all know Emma has her own deep connections and her own rich legacy history in this town. With Gio working right there at the pool where everyone hangs out, it naturally elevates our anxiety levels about a potential, highly volatile love triangle. Should Emma be worried about Charlotte's intentions? Charlotte has never been one to play nice when she wants something, and if she perceives Emma as a threat or a rival for Gio's attention, things could get incredibly ugly. How far is Charlotte willing to go to eliminate the competition and secure her prize? To really understand where Charlotte's head is at right now, we have to take a quick trip down memory lane and look at what happened earlier this year with Danny Morgan. Asher Antonizin has been absolutely killing it as Danny, bringing so much angst and charm to the role, and for a hot second, the writers really teased us with a potential Charlotte and Danny romance. They shared a few sweet kisses, they had that brooding teenage angst going on, but then harsh reality came crashing down on them. They ultimately decided to take a huge step back and just remain friends. And honestly, thank goodness they did. Because let us not forget the incredibly awkward and slightly creepy fact that they are distant cousins. But how did that failed, slightly uncomfortable romance truly affect Charlotte's fragile teenage psyche? That near miss with Danny Morgan is a crucial, undeniable piece of the puzzle because it completely shifts Charlotte's romantic trajectory for the foreseeable future. She quickly realized that dating within the tangled, incestuous web of Port Charles legacy families is a complete minefield. This awkward situation practically forces her to look outside her immediate social circle for romantic connections that absolutely do not involve shared DNA. She is a young woman looking for a clean slate, someone who does not carry the heavy baggage of her family's incredibly complicated past. And who better to perfectly fit that description than the mysterious new guy in town who seemingly has no ties to her crazy relatives? But is she foolishly projecting her deep desire for normalcy onto a guy who actually has more hidden baggage than a carousel at the international airport? Let us take a moment to visualize the Metro Court pool this summer. It is going to be absolutely packed with potential suitors, a veritable all-you-can-eat buffet of teenage drama and hormones. Charlotte could easily have her pick of guys her own age from Port Charles High. She is beautiful, she is wealthy, and she has that mysterious, slightly dangerous edge that teenage boys love. So why on earth would she fixate on the older lifeguard? What is it about Gio that makes him stand out so brightly from the crowd of high school boys vying for her attention? We have to remember that Charlotte has lived a life completely devoid of a stable, consistent, traditional family structure. She has had 2 mothers, 3 men she considered fathers at various points, and a whole lot of childhood trauma. Is she genuinely looking for a boyfriend? Or is she desperately looking for an anchor in the storm of her life? This brings us to the absolute most dangerous aspect of this entire brewing theory, the significant age gap. What happens when a 16-year-old high school girl falls head over heels for a guy who is firmly entrenched in his college years? Gio is over 21 years old. He is a full-grown adult with adult responsibilities. Charlotte is a minor who is still trying to figure out algebra. The power dynamics here are incredibly skewed, and it makes my stomach tie in absolute knots just thinking about the potential legal and moral fallout. In the real world, and even in the slightly skewed reality of Port Charles, a guy in his 20s hanging around a 16-year-old is a massive, flashing red flag. Gio is a genuinely good guy, but how exactly is he going to navigate this treacherous minefield without causing severe emotional damage? I want to be crystal clear here, folks. I absolutely do not think Gio has any malicious intent whatsoever. Giovanni Mazza plays him with such genuine warmth, sincerity, and wide-eyed innocence. I firmly believe that Gio is an outstanding young man who would only ever want to treat Charlotte with the utmost respect and kindness that she deserves. He would never intentionally lead her on, manipulate her, or cross any inappropriate boundaries. But unfortunately, that is exactly where the greatest danger lies. Sometimes, the absolute nicest guys cause the most severe heartbreak because they simply do not want to be mean, they do not want to set harsh, rigid boundaries, and they always try to let people down easy. How many times have we seen a vulnerable young girl mistake a handsome guy's polite conversation and warm smile for a sweeping declaration of true love? Adding a massive amount of fuel to this already dangerous fire is the undeniable fact that Charlotte and Gio actually have a ton of common ground to bond over. They are both highly artistic, they both have a deep, abiding appreciation for culture, and they both know exactly what it is like to feel like a complete outsider in a town dominated by massive, overbearing legacy families. When you are a misunderstood teenager, finding someone who simply gets you on a deeper level is incredibly intoxicating. Charlotte is going to latch onto those shared interests like a drowning victim grabbing a lifeline. She is going to interpret every shared joke, every lingering conversation about music or art as undeniable cosmic proof that they are soulmates destined to be together. But how explosive will her reaction be when she inevitably realizes that for Gio, it is just friendly, meaningless banter to pass the time during his shift? We absolutely cannot look at the situation in a vacuum, ignoring what else is happening in town. We have to look at what Gio is dealing with in his own personal life right now, and frankly, the poor kid is going through absolute emotional hell. He is currently wrestling with the earth-shattering reality that Brooke Lynn, Quartermaine Chase, and Dante Falconeri are his biological parents. Amanda Setton and Dominic Zamprogna have been delivering absolute Emmy-worthy performances in this storyline. But think about the severe emotional toll this massive revelation is taking on Gio. His entire identity, everything he thought he knew about himself, has been completely rewritten overnight. He is vulnerable, he is deeply confused, and he is desperately looking for any kind of distraction from his own messy, complicated life. Could Charlotte's unwavering attention, however misplaced and inappropriate, provide him with a temporary, dangerous escape from his overwhelming family drama? If Gio genuinely thinks his life is complicated right now, he has absolutely no idea what he is walking into when dealing with a Cassadine woman. Charlotte has survived multiple kidnappings, intense brainwashing, terrifying tarot card mind control, and more brutal family betrayals than a classic Shakespearean tragedy. She has lived with 2 different moms and 3 different dads. If they ever sat down by the pool and started swapping trauma stories, Charlotte would win hands down, without breaking a sweat. She could literally trump his tragic backstory at any given moment with a casual anecdote about her evil grandfather. But does this shared, dark history of family instability make them kindred spirits who can heal each other? Or does it make them an incredibly toxic, volatile combination just waiting to explode? And if we really want to talk about things getting unbelievably weird, let us take a hard look at the actual family connections at play here. Dante Falconeri, as we now know, is Gio's biological father. Years ago, when Dante was happily married to Lulu Spencer, played so memorably by Alexa Havens-Bruening, he was effectively Charlotte's beloved stepfather. He helped raise her during her formative years. So, in a very twisted, completely non-biological, but highly emotional way, Gio and Charlotte share a weird, uncomfortable, pseudo-sibling connection directly through Dante. If Dante finds out that his newly discovered adult son is the object of his former stepdaughter's intense affections, his head is going to absolutely explode. Can you even begin to imagine the incredibly tense, awkward conversations at Kelly's Diner when Dante has to sit Gio down and explain the tangled, messy history of his ex-wife's daughter? As we look ahead to the dog days of summer, I absolutely cannot shake the ominous feeling that this entire storyline is going to end in bitter tears and possibly a major, highly public confrontation right in the middle of the Metro Court. My ultimate prediction? Charlotte is going to tragically misinterpret a simple moment of kindness from Gio. She is going to make a very public, very embarrassing, romantic move, and he is going to be forced to firmly reject her in front of everyone. The sheer humiliation will be the exact trigger that finally unleashes the true, terrifying Cassadine darkness that has been dormant within her. She won't blame Gio. She will blame whoever she thinks is standing in her way, maybe Emma, maybe even Brooke Lynn. What do you guys think? Is Charlotte absolutely destined to become the town's newest, most dangerous terror? Or will Gio somehow find a miraculous way to save her from herself?